From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the community this Thursday.
So good in a party yet. You know why?
My friend, you don't plan to get her? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News.
Wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. It's Thursday, May 23rd, 2024. Welcome to another Morning Barbados presentation. Good to have you in company. I'm Tisha Hines. I'll be here with you until 8 o'clock. And of course, you know that I have a fantastic crew behind the scenes, always behaving badly just the way I like it. I hope you have a great day today, whatever your plans are. I know for me, I enjoy the holidays, but it means it's a short week and it's weird because it feels like Wednesday, but it's Thursday, and then it feels like Sunday, but it's Monday. I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. But today is Thursday. Yes, I have to keep reminding myself of it. Anybody celebrating today, happy birthday to you. I have to say a special good morning and special happy birthday to a very special lady who loves Morning Barbados, and she's always tuned in wherever she is across the world. I have something special coming up for you later, but happy birthday generally to everybody celebrating in the month of May. We want to start by telling you all about a fantastic campaign that we want you to jump on board with. And joining us to tell us more is Damien Griffith, who is Relationship Manager, Platinum Banking with CIBC Caribbean. And he's here to talk about an initiative called Inspired Homes. Good morning, Damien.
Hey, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's good to have you with us today.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Are you accustomed getting up this early, or did you
Yeah,
come
yeah,
just to inspire us?
I'm actually an early person, so yes, definitely.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about this particular initiative by CIBC Caribbean.
Well, it's a program to help our clients because we are always in the market of trying to help our clients. And this campaign specifically is targeted towards persons buying and building, and also for our clients who may have mortgages or clients who may have mortgages that are looking to switch.
All right. So how do we get in on this action, so to speak?
Well, first of all, it'd be good to visit one of our branches and probably set an appointment with one of our relationship managers or sales specialists or mortgage specialists and have a conversation, because ideally what we would want to do first is to understand what your goals are for the future, what your planning is like, tell us more about what goes on with you and how we can help in that aspect. And then, of course, after that, then we can look at things like pre-qualification, and because it's important to know what you qualify for before you go into the market looking to purchase your home. I tell people all the time, it's one of the biggest things you will do in life, and it's good to have a financial institution who will hold your hand right through the process.
Absolutely. Let's slow it down a little bit and go step by step.
Sure.
So you've decided, I want to own my own home. Where do we start in terms of gathering the requisite documents and so on that we need? You talked about coming into a branch. Do I need to make an appointment?
Yes.
What type of information do I need to bring to the table?
Generally, you would bring financial information like your job letter, pay slips, an idea of what your debts are, because that helps us to do an in-depth analysis of what you qualify for. And once you then know what you qualify for, that gives us, a better understanding of, what part of the market we should be looking at. And, from there, you can basically go ahead into the market, you find a home, and after that, we can sit and go through your numbers. Interest rates and fees and everything are important, and it's important that we discuss those things thoroughly, because again, it's the biggest thing you'll do. Purchase you probably will make in life.
Absolutely. You talked a lot about pre-qualification.
Yes.
What does that mean in real terms for people to be able to move a step closer to owning their own home?
Well, pre-qualification is very important because you don't want to be going out in the market not knowing what you can afford. And basically what that is basically trying to see what is affordable for you. So what we would do is that we would look at your expenses, we would look at your income, and we'd be able to determine what monthly payment you are able to make towards a home, and not only a home, but towards your insurances and your annual taxes and things like that. So those things also form part of your qualification.
Now, we talked about people who might be coming into this thinking process for the first time, thinking about owning their own home. What about people who might already have a mortgage and they maybe want to access some equity in their home or get a second mortgage, acquire another property? Is the process different for them?
The process is by and large the same in terms of qualification, knowing what you qualify for. But for persons that are switching mortgages, obviously we have a payment history and different things like that. So it gives you a little more to work with. Our campaign unfortunately doesn't cover equity right now, but definitely persons who have existing mortgages can switch their mortgage.
What are the benefits of bringing my mortgage from another financial institution to CIBC Caribbean?
Well, under this campaign, the benefit would be that we would cover 3% of the total mortgage amount, or up to US $10,000 in fees, associated fees. And also we will offer an interest rate of 3.75 under the campaign. The real benefit though is to have a relationship manager, or a person who will always be there to walk you through the process, always there to manage that entire side of it for you, to take away some of the stress of having to deal with that. And that's the reason why we're here, to build that kind of relationship, to make it easier for the clients.
Speaking of building, is there a difference in whether you decide to build or buy, whether once you decide I'm coming with CIBC Caribbean, I've pre-qualified, is there a difference in terms of the offering?
No, the offering is pretty much the same for persons who are building and buying. The offer basically is for the first month, we will make a payment of up to $1,500 US towards your first month's payment. We will cover up to $500 US towards your home insurance. But if you do the insurance through our CIBC Caribbean policy, we will offer up to USD $750, and then up to $500 US towards the valuation. The rate is pretty much the same at 3.75 for this offering.
Excellent. Now, if you're going to make the switch, what's the difference?
Well, with the switch, we basically would just get the information from the other financial institution, and we will do the qualification in the same way to see what you qualify for, and then we are able to process it.
Now, we might be all on different scales in terms of our earnings, and that will determine how much we qualify for.
Yes.
For this particular inspired initiative, what are the amounts that we're talking about in terms of whether you can access 100% mortgage, or there must be deposits, or what have you?
Right, so we do 95% financing across the board, and we offer up to a maximum of 35 years to repay. So that would be basically what our offer would be, or our general offer for this campaign, and in general, that's what we would do. All
right, so I know that this campaign is going to run into July.
Yes, July 31st.
So let's talk timelines, because it can be a little different with mortgages in terms of getting your application in a timely fashion so that you stay within the promotional period.
Yeah, once we're able to process the application up to July 31st, then you will qualify for the campaign terms. We know that sometimes legal work goes beyond that, and we would have a future date for that to be disbursed. But once you get your application in and everything by July 31st, then we're able to qualify for the campaign terms.
I love the name that you've given to the campaign, Inspired, because as you mentioned, this is the most significant investment that a lot of people will make in their lifetime, and it truly can make a difference to your life. So to get people inspired about owning their own homes, I would imagine is a great thing. For those people who might be holding back a little and thinking, I'm not too sure, even though they might not have all their ducks in a row, so to speak, what would you say to them in your, wearing your hat as someone who oversees these things? What would you say to them in terms of moving toward getting a mortgage?
I would say come have a conversation. Sometimes things aren't as far-fetched as you think, and it's important to know what is possible, because sometimes we kind of fabricate these things in our mind that it's a difficult process, or sometimes we even go by hearsay, that it was hard, but everybody's experience isn't the same. It's good to have that experience for yourself. So it's good to come in, speak to a banker who is relationship based, who is going to hold your hand through the process, and experience it for yourself. See what you qualify for, and not only qualify for, but we're experts in our industry, so you can lean on us if you have any questions.
And let's build on that a little bit, because it is indeed a two-way street.
Yeah.
Why are we moving away from one financial institution to CIBC Caribbean, or why are we choosing to go with CIBC Caribbean as that institution to hold our hand in this process?
Well, what I would say is that every institution is different. We pride ourselves on customer service. We pride ourselves on relationship. And whilst all institutions, we offer the same product, the same mortgages, rates, we pride ourselves on something much different. And that's being responsive to our clients, being agile, being able to assist our clients and hold their hands through this entire process.
All right, wonderful stuff. I know that as we talk about different categories of people who might be interested, there are some who are employed, others who might be self-employed. So let's talk about what they need to put together in terms of documentation to ensure that once they're ready and they come in, they can get quickly through the process.
Yeah, every client is different. Our basic requirements for documents for salary clients would be your job letter, your pay slips. Those are most important. Statements on your debts, those will help as well. If your accounts aren't with us, we will still need to have an idea of what your account history is like with another financial institution. So those are kind of the basic documents we would need. For businesses, we have our business banking managers who manage that process as well. And generally, we would like to see the income for those clients as well through their account history if it's not with us, as well as their financials, their annual financials, along with their statements on any debts they may have through the company.
Can we elaborate a little bit on what a 3.7% interest rate means in this current climate?
I believe it's par for course in this climate. We're offering it for our campaign. I can't really speak to what other banks might be offering, but that's basically kind of middle of the road for where we're at right now.
Absolutely, because I've heard of some others that are 4 and some upwards of that. So I think that's a great rate as well. But the documents you need to bring in, you've been told, of course, for self-employed people, you will need to do things a little differently.
Yeah, a little differently. Financials for your annual financials, those will help us to then get an idea of how the business is working. And even in looking at those financials, maybe how we can help to make the business a little more profitable through, financial planning.
Absolutely. For people who are just starting out as well, with this 95% financing, when it comes to preparation, again, to come in for the pre-qualification process or what have you, what does this mean for them preparing pocket-wise?
Well, first you probably would want to see what you qualify for, and then knowing what you qualify for, then you would have an idea of what you need to save towards. So persons sometimes will save towards a deposit, which is very important because we offer 95% financing, but additionally, persons would also save for their legal costs, which is also dependent on what you would qualify for. So you would know what kind of legal fees you're saving towards, as well as your insurances and different things. So that's why it's so important to come in and visit us and have that conversation, because you have a much wider scope of what you need to prepare for, and we will be there to help you prepare for that as well.
Do we need to make an appointment to come in to see one of your relationship specialists?
You could visit our branches, but because the mortgage conversation is so extensive, it would be best to make that appointment to come see us.
And because you're here on Morning Barbados, we would want you to give us a little insider information. What are some of the questions that we should be asking, the professionals, to ensure that we're really getting all the information that we need?
Well, you would want to know what rate, the cost of things. You would also want to know what fees are involved. You'd also want to know about your insurances, different types of life insurances, what are your options, and your property insurances as well. So there's no really one fit, but generally for everyone it would be something different. But I believe those are the basic ones that you would want to try to confirm in that conversation.
Can we talk a little bit about, and I know no one is an ideal candidate, but can we talk about maybe some of the things that people who are inspired and are looking to put things in place can work toward to make the process a whole lot easier? You mentioned insurance in a moment.
Yeah, I believe that having that conversation though is paramount, because once we have that conversation, we can be able to guide you a little more. Insurances will come along, and again, that will come down to what you qualify for, because we need to know what level of insurance you would need based on the amount you qualify for. So I believe having that conversation initially will open up everything else and probably answer more questions as you go on.
Now, based on your engagement with, I would imagine, hundreds of people as relationship manager with CIBC Caribbean, how do you feel generally about this particular promotion? As an individual, as a Barbadian, knowing that to own a piece of the rock is really the dream of many, many Barbadians.
Yeah, I think what it is, it's targeted towards first-time homeowners in some instance, and I say that because if you're a first-time homeowner, if you have been, you know that it is very difficult that first month, because you've done everything. You've paid your legal fees, you've paid your deposit, you've closed, you're moving into the house, you have to buy everything new for the house if you haven't prepared for that before. And that first month is usually very difficult. And for us as an institution to decide, let's pay $1,500 US towards that first month's payment, I think that in itself says that we're not just thinking as a bank, but we're thinking as a customer. I think that's one of the things that stood out most to me in the campaign, and I think that's the one that really tells me that this is about the client.
That's beautiful. We want to make sure that you are inspired, whether you're thinking about that first home or you want to make a switch. Definitely call the good folks at CIBC Caribbean, and they'll put you on the right path to be able to get that home with this new promotion that runs down to July 31st. But you know how we are in Barbados. Last minute, put it off, a little bit of procrastinating. Don't let that be you. Give them a call. If you want to call Damien specifically,
419-8401.
419-8401. It's that simple. And go for it. Be inspired. Go after that mortgage today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, it's time for another break. When we come back, we're going to give you a rundown of everything else coming up on Morning Barbados today, and we're going to jump into some more discussions as we get your Thursday started the right way.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb. From the beautiful shores of
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
6:26, get out of bed, sleepyhead. I know there are some of you who are still lying around and you want to maybe sleep in. Today is not the day. Tomorrow's Friday and then you have the weekend, all right? But you have to get up and go. And as I mentioned before, I know when it's a holiday, it's difficult sometimes to kind of gauge it. I know you can hear the extra bass in my voice. No, it might be the Sahara dust, but I think today it's all about the sleep, you know? Sometimes when you get into the equipment and stuff like that as well and watching little movies, I'll tell you what I'm watching. Maybe. Yeah, but up a little too late last night, so I hope that's not you. And all of that can tie into your overall health, how you feel, not getting enough sleep. And, you know, it can spiral out of control if you don't really get handle on it. So we want to talk about it a little bit with Jomo Phillips, who is clinical social worker and couple and family therapist, and Fontana Roach, who is registered counseling therapist and my old schoolmate.
Yes.
Yes. So good to see you.
Good to see
as
you.
always. Good to see you too, Jomo.
Thank you.
I've
Thanks
not
for
seen
having
you in
us.
many, many years.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about the fact that it is it is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I was telling you before I came on air that somehow, I don't know if it missed me or I didn't know it or I forgot, but I feel like I'm hearing this for the first time. So let's start with you, Fontana. How important is it for us to focus on mental health at this time?
Well, mental health is part of your overall health, and you can't have health without mental health, so it's very important. Our mental health affects our moods, and that, you know, affects everything that we do on a daily basis. It affects our relationships, whether those relationships are within the home or when we are at work or socially. So it's very, very important.
And your area of specialty is couples and family therapy. What's happening within the homes these days that we need to think more in terms of maybe counseling together as a family or checking up on our collective mental health?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the things is thinking about the fact that when somebody's struggling within a family, usually because people are sort of connected to each other, then everybody probably is also struggling as well too. So we know in terms of just sort of helping people that probably one of the best ways to do that is by bringing everybody together, to change and address things.
I know culturally these things can be kind of a little prohibitive in terms of, or out of our reach, simply because of the way we think or the way we were taught or the way things were done. You'd walk into a lot of not only Barbadian but Caribbean homes and see what happens here stays here. Or for a long time we knew that there was much happening within the family, but nobody talks about it.
Of course.
How does culture, how we are brought up, things that we're taught or the things we're told from young, influence how we're able to see ourselves through our lives in terms of battling with mental health?
And that's an excellent question. One of the things surely in terms of culture is the issue around privacy and confidentiality. And I think that results from the fact that the community is so small. I mean, things are changing though, certainly in terms of people's awareness with regards to mental health and people's ability to go and get and secure mental health as well to treatment. That's changed. I think people are also more aware that there are professionals in the community who are going to respect things like privacy and confidentiality as well.
I saw you nodding in agreement.
Yes.
Absolutely. It has changed quite a bit, but in a different way. Because now I see people, what I deem sometimes oversharing, and I cringe when I see what people put online. But I know a lot of this is very, very superficial because you really don't know if it is true. This also can impact other people's and your own mental state.
Yes, of course. So when people share stuff online based on the feedback that they receive, it may deter other people from sharing. And within the profession, we keep information private and confidential. We are ethically bound to do so. And it also makes people feel safe. So that superficial information that you are thinking that you might be seeing, when they get into the therapeutic setting, they may actually share, what is really true and what is happening with them. And from that place, we're able to help them.
How are people masking what's going on with them with this whole social media thing? Because sometimes it almost feels like a cry for help, but who are you crying to?
Right.
Who are you seeking this help from in putting so much information out there?
I think one of the challenges too is that social media tends to be superficial, unfortunately. So people may engage in a way that they don't engage in real relationships. I mean, people also do use social media to also secure help as well, to also talk about some challenges that they're experiencing. But we also need to do that in safe and secure real relationships as well.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about what you do. You have a free mental health community. What does this mean?
Well, it's called Let's Care for Us, and it is an online community, and it was designed to provide mental health and relationship resources to its members. So you have to become a member in order to access that information. It is safe and trustworthy. We were just talking about safety because it was developed by 3 mental health professionals. It is also the first of its kind in Barbados, and it is also a place that persons could find other people who are probably experiencing these same issues that they are and help them to feel safe and comfortable about talking about what they're experiencing.
Why now, Jomo? I know we've been seeing lots happening all across the community, certainly not recently, knock wood, but we've been hearing in the last 2 years a lot about suicide. In the last few days, for example, we heard of seemingly what is another suicide here on island, and I know it impacts people in a major way.
Of course it does. I think one of the challenges is issues in terms of access to care, and that's an ongoing issue in Barbados and the region as well too. For a lot of people, in terms of accessing care, there may not be enough resources in the public health system. So in terms of going to the hospital or going to a polyclinic, there are very often long wait times. And of course, in the private sector, it's cost as well too. So one of the things that we're very aware of is how do we provide services and access to people in terms of information in ways that allow people to be able to access it. And certainly this is our initiative in terms of this free mental health and relationship community.
All right, so you got it launched at the beginning of this month.
Yeah, at the beginning of this month.
So around May 6th.
Yeah.
What do we need to do to be able to be a part of this community?
Well, you need to sign up, and one of the easiest ways is that you can go to our IG page, the Relational Practices, and there is a link in our bio. So once you become a member, you're able to access the resources that we are providing.
All right, that's very, very important, and I love that you just have to register to be a part of it. In speaking with many professionals and regular people alike, over the last couple years, what I've recognized is that we often confuse mental health and wellness with mental illness. So how important is it for us to kind of differentiate so that people don't move away from taking care of their overall mental health?
I think that's a big and important distinction. We all have wellness that we can sort of nurture and look after. And there are occasions when people are struggling and those issues start to affect their overall well-being. That's illness, right? Yeah. But one of the things that we can do is that we can prevent illness by sort of looking after health. One way that we know we can look after health is by sort of being part of community, being connected to people. Our online community offers that opportunity. Free resources. Fontana is doing a workshop next week, specifically focused on parenting. Yeah, so opportunities in terms of sort of connecting and learning and growing.
Tell me more about this workshop.
Okay, so it is going to be next Wednesday, the 29th at 8 p.m. It's a workshop that is geared towards helping parents build secure bonds with their children. And a parent or caregiver might want to know why they need to do that. But when children feel secure in the relationship with their parents, it helps with their self-esteem. They are more confident. It helps them to make better decisions. It also helps in the relationship with their parents as they're able to navigate issues without being as highly escalated as they usually would. It also helps them with their emotional development.
Yeah, I think it's important too to really get families together to talk about how we manage expectations. And I think that's a major part of a lot of the problems that we have. We kind of put these extravagant, really over the top expectations on different members of the family, starting with the little ones. And we've heard a lot of talk about 11 plus. I mean, we're still in the throes of 11 plus, even in waiting for the results.
Right, of course.
It's almost as though people are, waiting with a bated breath, and it's still very crazy, but that very much is cultural. So to have this level of discourse, to be able to have access to these resources, how do you see that this can change the family dynamic?
I think we're reshaping culture all the time. As I mentioned earlier, people are much more willing to access mental health and mental health support. One of the things that we're doing is that we're bringing things that we don't usually talk about into sort of a public forum, a public space, and have people share safely. That's something that's important to us, but also be able to learn from each other. When we realize that we're not alone in terms of our experience, that allows us to feel a lot safer. That allows us to be able to take risks and get help if we need to get it.
What are some of these things that people aren't necessarily sharing on that they need to take care of?
What about that?
Well, the same challenges that a person has in relationships, other people might be experiencing, and sometimes we think it is only us. So when you get into an environment or a community where you realize, okay, it's not only me that's having this challenge, then I feel safer to share what I'm experiencing, and it helps to provide support, within that community to others. I give support and I receive support. So I feel comfortable knowing somebody else is going through this, somebody else may have had some solutions that worked before, and I'm not in this alone. Yeah.
In terms of families, how do you know it's kind of time to maybe, get an objective view, seek help, maybe counseling together? Because I'm not sure there's a family in Barbados that will sit down and say, oh, let's have a family meeting. I think we should go to counseling. Again, very cultural. We're shifting in that direction slowly, but to be able to kind of recognize, hey, we need to pull up stumps and take stock.
So one of the ways that we sort of think about it in terms of family therapy is that we think about people being in cycles. So when we're sort of stuck having the same fights over and over again and there's no resolution, or people have difficulty coming back and being able to talk and repair with each other, then that's usually a good indication that we need to get some help.
I think a next side of that, and this maybe dots my personal experiences with extended family too, is a lot of the times we push past things. So things happen and we never really deal with them, but they kind of sit in the back of your head and they carry on and they carry on. And I suppose that's why there's the term, the needle or the last straw that broke the camel's back. So you're kind of building on a whole host of things. And then, of course, it seems as though you're over the top for one final little thing. So let's remind everybody about how they can be a part of the community, where they can find you, and why it's so important that we move to a place where we start really counseling together.
Right.
Yeah. So Let's Cure for us, like I said, you can go on our IG page, Relational Practices, and you can find the link in our bio where you can get started. Once you've joined the community, there are some pointers on there to help you navigate the page. And we are going to be offering free workshops and other information. We will put that information there for you. And I will let Jomo continue with other information that he can share
And you
with
can contact our practice. We're on the World Wide Web, www.therelationalpractices.com, 233-6758.
All right, so make sure you check it out. Again, free resources. I think it's important to be able to have access to the level of care that's being offered on this platform. And you just might be helping someone else, even if you're going on to maybe, seek some advice for yourself. What you might be able to bring to the table can indeed help as well at a time where we see so much going on with our own communities, and that means our families, because that's what the communities are made up of. And we all related in Barbados, we know this. All right, let's not think about it. Thank you both for coming in. Jomo Phillips is clinical social worker and couple and family therapist. Fontana Roach is registered counseling therapist. Good to see both of you.
Good to see you too.
All right, so bear all of that in mind as you get ready this morning. Time for another break. It's already 20 minutes to 7 o'clock. Got to move on.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love cruise.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. It's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
So good in a party yet. You know why?
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living?
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's 6:43 on a Thursday, and it's a little bit of rain outside. I love rain, particularly because it's been very, very hot. Ooh, who likes to sweat like that? Don't answer me. Don't answer me. Yeah, but it was good to hear the pitter-patter on the rooftops this morning, and of course to wake up to a little bit of rain. Cool down the place just a bit. Maybe it will carry through the day, and we'll get some cloud cover, and it will cover up a little bit of this heat going on. So a special good morning to those of you who work outside in the open and bright sunshine. I know that, of course, can be a difficult task. As the doctor told you yesterday, make sure you get the water in, make sure you're hydrating. You might need to add a little bit more water particularly with the temperatures that we're experiencing these days. And what Dr. Rouse was saying yesterday is it can increase the possibility of gallstones if you don't get in enough water if it's hot outside. So make sure that you get that extra water, especially if you have to walk with the water, you know. I think that makes a difference. If you have a nice little bottle and you can refill it, that can make all the difference in your quality of life. Yeah, I most certainly have to make sure that I get in a little bit more water myself. All right, so we have Cheryl Outram back with us and Latoya Thomas. Good morning to you, ladies.
Good morning. Good morning.
Always good to have you with us. Yes. And this is kind of the this is our third bite at getting through 14 tips for successful learning. Now, Cheryl is the principal and Latoya is a tutor with Life Lessons Academy and preschool.
Yeah.
And for those people who might be just tuning in, let's bring them along, Cheryl, in terms of what we're talking about. So you've kind of come up with 14 tips that you believe are important for successful, being the operative word, successful learning.
Yeah. Yes. Considering that we're now in the 11 plus season, I thought it was important to help parents to narrow down exactly what they need to understand or to focus on as it relates to learning for their children. Successful learning. Every parent wants their child to be successful, but I don't think that everybody understands what that looks like exactly. So these tips are really to help the parent at home and also to help the educator and the child, because sometimes even the child is in the learning environment and they do not understand why a teacher might insist on doing things a particular way. The parent might feel, well, okay, this is in the best interest of my child, but the parent might not recognize, well, okay, for example, many parents want to be in the learning environment with the child, while the teacher is on the other end of the spectrum trying to create an independent learner. So the same way you would have to wean a child off the breast, teachers want parents to wean their children off of them as well, so that when they come into the environment, they can be confident. They can be confident speakers. They're not clingy, because if you have a classroom with 15, 20, 30 children, you want each child to have a certain level of independence so that they can then learn, so that the teacher is then doing less mothering and more teaching.
Isn't there like a balance to that? I guess that would apply to maybe preschoolers and some of the younger children, but isn't there a balance that must be found with the involvement of the parents and how involved they are in the learning process and how much they kind of defer to the educators?
Yes, there is a balance. The challenge, however, comes because many parents themselves are not educators and they do not understand, how to instruct the child. Oftentimes what the parent does with the child is instill a lot of fear, lack of confidence and so on. And the fact that you are the parent, the child sees you in a whole different light. The child is always thinking about pleasing the parent, about, not saying the wrong thing or not doing the wrong thing. That's at the forefront of the child's mind. Many times when children and parents are in the same environment, you can see the child kind of eyeing the parent. You're not really getting a truthful response. And while the parents are listening for a particular thing, the educator is listening for something else, So to get that balance, parents themselves need to be a bit more educated about what the educational environment is trying to create or what is needed in that environment. Like I said, from the home environment, the parent is focusing on protection and, nurturing and being there and making the child feel safe. But then there is that part where you want to teach the child the skills to keep themselves safe in an environment. So for example, if you're preparing a child for a learning environment, your concern might be the child being violated. But as a parent, you don't have to be there with the child. What you need to do is to teach the child about personal space. So if you're in a public environment and there's somebody's coming close to you, they should not pass this point. They shouldn't be able to touch your private. If the person is too close, then you step back. You want to teach your child how to protect themselves, and even in terms of communication. Oftentimes in the home environment, many of the children we come into contact with, their principle is be seen and not heard. They're not, allowed to speak and to speak honestly because they are punished for their opinions. Now, when the child goes into a public space, when the child goes into a learning environment, many children sit and they don't feel free to give an opinion or to speak up.
Because of how they're kind of
conditioned in the home.
Yeah, in the home. How do you find that children not feeling as free as they really should in the home kind of influences how it plays out in the classroom or how open they are to speak? Whether we have children who are very reserved or who are a little more outspoken, how does what happens in the home kind of play into all of that?
Well, basically, you have a lot of parents to shout at children, and they would say things like, you're stupid, you're retarded, or you would never be this, or, and like if sometimes parents having issues with, mom and dad having issues, and your father, you can never be this here or whatever, and you, like, this self-esteem thing going on from early, so you put a lot of doubt and fear and less confidence and so on, within the child. So a lot of parents is be like shouting at the children for simple things that you could talk and so on, because a lot of times, coming up back then, the older parents would, throw a shoe, a slipper, and so on. So that abuse came, and a lot of parents were not taught how to deal, with themselves. So it starts within the home, and a lot of parents just create those things in children. I remember a time teaching a student, and the child he would be very open with me, and he would, and when he see his mother, he'd be like this here. He stopped the automatic, affection and everything. He's like, I wish my mommy was like you, so patient and loving. My mommy always crawling. My mommy always shouting at me. And it's like, he had this shyness over him, and it's like, the only way that he felt safe or is the way how I treat him, like how I talk to him and how I would, do things with him and give him things. He's like, I only wish my mommy was like this here. So a lot of times parents does create those fears and self-esteem issues from small. I saw a woman at a clinic one time with a child like 3, and she was shouting and ringing the little child's ear and carrying. I was like, this child is 3. You understand? But she was crying, and you could hear her from all the way, So a lot of parents, educated ones as well, just put that fear in children from young, so they don't know how to express themselves, and then they, like, as Cheryl was saying, that they would, want to be there to hear everything the child would say. I remember there was a young lady that she was being abused, and she came and she said, but she couldn't tell the mother, because every time she wanted to say anything to the mother, he was a liar, he would never do that, and she would beat the child for that. So a lot of times parents just know things, know their children need help, and they would pretend that they don't hear or they don't notice, and the children grow up with a lot of anger issues and so on from within the home, and then we as educators now have to deal, with that.
Cheryl, as an educator, and the therapist just went off the
Yes.
set. So now from an educator's perspective, from a principal's seat, or even as a teacher in the classroom, what can parents do to maybe turn, and we're going back to culture again, because we've heard a lot of spare the rod, spoil the child, and going back to the Bible, bring up a child in the way he should go, and when he won't depart from it. But they mean, when they say the way he should go, they mean some licks. And if you're not lashing the child, then it's a problem. For a long time, people felt like children should sit down there. So they have all this energy, but it's like, don't move. This is your square.
Yeah.
From where you sit, how are these things impacting how children are able to receive information, how they're able to engage in the classroom, how they're able to learn?
Yeah, the impact is tremendous. It is tremendous. Again, if we look at Barbados, especially the Barbadian model, we know that culture is passed on. It is hereditary. The same way you would pass on a tangible item, culture is passed on. Habits and lifestyles are passed on. So if you come up with a mother who's always quarreling, who's always shouting and so on, you will become that without even recognizing that you are that. So oftentimes the patterns that the parents practice, they themselves have not done the inward work and they've never encountered a different way.
So a lot of them come and they're surprised. Would he do this in the classroom? Would she do this? But maybe it's a reflection.
It's a reflection of what's happened in the home. Because I remember even with me, now looking at us culturally, like I shared before, I was raised by a mother who was not formally educated. And I would joke and tell people, listen, the worst thing you could have as a parent is I would call it a cane cutter mother, because their method of communication is licks. And that's what they learned in the plantation. We can't get away from it. When we go back and we understand how many of our foreparents were treated, even the type of beatings. We talk about beating a child. I know how I was beaten. We Bajans, you were beaten with any Caribbean children. When the stick, parents used to take the old hose and cut it up and save it to beat you. The dog hunter. You understand? And when you go back and you navigate slavery, you recognize that even how you were beaten, the parents learned it from slavery. Yeah. You were beaten and then sent to get a bath. There are some children in this country who are sent to bathe in salt water.
Yeah. And you're saying that play out in the classroom in terms of how children are able to assimilate, how they're able to
because
learn.
You have children in classroom who they're coming to school. They've been abused in the home. They've been beaten badly in the home. So then that child shows up in the classroom and that child isn't able to communicate, isn't able to work. And the teacher who, you have a limited time to teach. So the teacher is focused on teaching, but then they realize, well, Sally is very quiet today. I remember I had an incident where there was a teenage child in my classroom. And I know she was usually bubbly and very talkative and so on. And I realized she came in and she wasn't her regular self. I got up. Another teacher was teaching. I got up, went to the office and said, come. I said, if you need to talk, I'm here. And she said, no, I'm okay, ma'am. We came back out. She sat for a while and then she said, ma'am, I think I want to take you up on that offer. We went back in the office and she pulled up her sleeve and showed me her hands. And when I looked at her hands, I saw what looked like scratches. Just like if you take a hand and scratch. And I mean, it's going all up the hand. And when she showed me, I said, okay, what's that? Because this is the first time I'm encountering this. I said, what happened? She said, ma'am, I cut myself. I said, oh, what do you cut yourself with? She said, razor blades. And I said, okay, why? She said, the topic that we gave 2 weeks ago for the essay, it was about homosexuality. And she said, ma'am, I'm a lesbian. And in responding to the essay topic, I had to go against what I actually am and practice. And it causes me tremendous pressure and anxiety because my mother in the home, I have to pretend that I'm not like this because my mother told me she put me out. So whenever I'm under that pressure, I cut myself.
Yeah, I know there are a lot of children engaging in self-harm and things like that. But for parents who are, and I wanted to make sure that I got in on something that you said, not to discount what you said, and I know you mentioned about having a cane cutter mother, but I know there are a lot of us as well who have what they would deem maybe office jobs and so on,
right,
who have it challenging as well. And sometimes we bring a lot of the stresses of the work environment and personal relationships and just life generally to the way that we engage with our children. And that can really take away from them being able to learn. So not necessarily saying it's only right. It's not a profiling of person or classified by social standing or what have you, because we see abuse across society. In all types of different socioeconomic backgrounds and stuff like that.
Because we had a 6-year-old teacher, 6 years old, and again coming from a very affluent family, And I remember I started by just doing a devotion. I was talking about Daniel and the lion in the lion's den. And I said, well, look, the lion could be representative of anybody who's attacking you or anybody who's trying to, you know, destroy you and so on. And the little 6-year-old said, oh, that would be my mother.
Oh boy.
Because she's always quarreling with me. She doesn't really care for me. She's about her boyfriends and
a 6-year-old.
A 6-year-old.
Wow.
I mean, we were just at devotion part of the class. And I was like, wow, Bible study gone wrong. I then had to respond to that.
Yeah.
You see, so again, as you said, it's not just one group of persons. Oftentimes life is lifing. And you don't realize as a parent how what you're doing is impacting that child. And then when they show up in the classroom, there's so many issues. I remember I said to a teacher in the government system, I said, listen, no, she was teaching children around the ages of 6 to 9 and stuff. And I said to her, don't assume that those little babies have not yet considered or even tried to attempt suicide. I said, you need to have an intelligent conversation with them. You need to do it via a story and so on, and ask questions. And she did it, and she came back to me in tears.
I encountered an 8-year-old recently who said that in the presence of some others who brought it to my attention. I wish I was never born, and we don't think that the little ones are dealing with things like this.
That.
But I can see how it can have a negative impact on them successfully learning. Yeah, so this was definitely a starter for this topic, but it is something to consider, I think, for all of us.
And it's not easy for the
engage
teacher.
with our children.
It's not easy for the teacher because you have to then become a vault for those children. Oftentimes you cannot tell the parents. You can't talk to them.
Well, the truth of the matter is the legislation that's now on the table will call for mandatory reporting in certain instances, and I believe teachers will fall under that. So we definitely have to continue this conversation. I enjoy seeing you ladies every single week. So, I mean, that's not a challenge. It's we're going to continue talking about these tips for successful learning. And believe it or not, I don't know if I'm happy or sad to say that we've not even mentioned one of the tips from the list. But, all very, very important discussion. Thank you so much, Cheryl Outram and Latoya Thomas, for coming in and sharing such insightful discussion, or sparking such insightful discussion about the way that we should look at how we engage with our children. Very, very important. So do some introspection today, parents, and see if we can go through an entire day without shouting.
Yes.
I most certainly will try. All right. Thank you, ladies.
You're welcome.
You so much. Time for another break. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb. From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
All right, welcome back to Morning Barbados. It's just past 7 o'clock. It's like 4 minutes after 7. Where does the time go? I know when we get into these really engaging conversations, a lot of them that really tug at our heartstrings, and the belly, if we're honest. And when we say the stomach in Barbados or the belly, it can mean anything from here. You know, people say, my stomach. You know, we're not sure what they mean, but, you know, it really kind of tugs at, you know, all that we know, particularly when we're talking about our children as well. So we want to move on to an interesting sport for Barbados. It's been going on for some time, but there are things happening. So we wanted to have Dr. Shahira Jordan join us this morning to talk about the Barbados Wrestling Association, because in collaboration with the British Wrestling Association, they're going to host a seminar and some workshops with some crucial tips on safeguarding the sport and the like. So good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you. Talk to me a little bit about wrestling, particularly in this part of the world.
Well, I mean, wrestling is a fantastic sport. It's one of the oldest sports, and it forms a foundation for athletes to be able to get into other sports. So I'm really excited to be involved in the sport. Personally, I'm from the British Wrestling Association, as you mentioned, and upon meeting the president of the Barbados Wrestling Association at an international meeting, I realized that there was an opportunity for a real seamless synergy based on my heritage. You know, my family's from Barbados, and so it made the conversations very easy. And through this, we were able to identify that there were opportunities to share some learnings from British wrestling's approach to safeguarding with Barbados.
Let's get into that.
Okay.
What's safeguarding about? What is it, and why must we do it?
Okay. So safeguarding, especially in sport, is essentially about protecting the athletes, both children and adults, from harm. And we do this by providing a safe space for them to be able to participate. And that's from grassroots right up to elite sports. And you might think that it's a given, but some of the themes that you've touched on this morning already, you know, you talk about culture. The culture in sport is a very high performance, intense pressure. And unfortunately, in previous generations and previous years, that push for that intensity meant that sometimes the athlete's well-being and even safety was not prioritized. Athletes didn't have voices. And as a result, the safeguarding has had to become central to the way that sports are administered to ensure that these athletes do have a voice and that they leave the sport unharmed. You know, I fully believe that sports, if you're an athlete, there's a real potential for you to become a significant contributor to society simply by being involved in the sport. You learn so much about self-discipline, about resilience, you're meeting lots of people. But if your experience is not a healthy one, instead of becoming a significant contributor to society, you can become jaded, and you can actually be a negative contributor to society.
To your mind, does it change as you move from sport to sport, particularly if you're talking about contact sports like wrestling?
I would say only in the manifestation of the types of harm that we need to look out for. But in terms of the general principles, I think that is something that has been observed across many sports. But you're right, contact sports becomes challenging because of transference. And in terms of how a coach or other athletes, you know, once you introduce the element of touch, it's even more important that your coaches understand where to create those boundaries so that younger athletes are not confusing that touch with anything else. So yes, there are some challenges in the contact sports, but generally the manifestation or the protection of things against, you know, there's 5 things that we look at, and that would be the psychological abuse, that would be sexual harassment, sexual abuse, physical abuse, and neglect. So those things can be observed across all the sports, but they manifest differently.
And a lot of the times, the people who we need to be, you know, not only advocating for these things, but actively teaching them are the coaches, which is why these workshops coming up are so important. Tell us more about them.
So the workshops are really going to be kind of the what I call the basic level of safeguarding, because safeguarding has picked up a lot of steam internationally. And you can start to get into topics around cyberbullying, but then there's just the basic, those 5 elements I just mentioned, those basic things of understanding what to look out for, and probably more importantly and probably more scary for people depending on the culture is how to report. because I think you've touched on this morning.
Yeah.
Reporting is challenging from a cultural perspective. It's challenging from a generational perspective. And we are trying to change the culture so that our younger athletes know that we are advocating for them and providing a space for them to be able to report themselves. But also, we say that safeguarding is everybody's responsibility. So if you're the parent of another child and you observe something happening with a completely different child that you are not comfortable with, we are encouraging you to find the lead safeguarding officer and say, look, I observed something that I'm not comfortable with, and I'm going to give you this information.
So I know that we have a workshop coming up today.
Yes.
It's at 6 o'clock. It's for athletes, administrators, coaches. How do people get involved? I believe it's under the auspices of the Barbados Olympic Association.
Yes, and also with Barbados Wrestling. So the thing to do there would be to get in touch with probably Barbados Wrestling or the BOA to find out if there's any more spaces available to be able to attend. But ultimately, whatever any of the attendees learn today, they should be able to now disseminate within their own groups as well.
To your mind and based on your experience and the work that you've done, how does safeguarding influence the outcome we get from our sports people?
Oh, the influence should be positive because ultimately we want our athletes to perform well. Now, if they are holding on to anything that could be detrimental to the way that they perform, then we're not doing them any favors. So if they're able to identify early, because remember, we're talking about abuse at the moment, not simply the well-being, but they're both hand in hand. But if we're talking about things such as, for example, one form of abuse could be neglect from maybe not helping an athlete to identify the best way to eat and to recover after training. Well, those things could lead to injury, and now that athlete is not able to extend their career as far as they would like to. So the safeguarding does cover so many facets that if we get it right, athletes should be mentally resilient on their respective mat, field, track, or what have you, but also as physically ready as they can be to perform.
Let's talk a little bit about your background as we come into these seminars and workshops that are coming up, and what has kind of positioned you where you are to be able to share in this way.
Right. Osmosis. I live in the UK where we have sadly and unfortunately had many high-profile cases in sport, in wrestling and in football particularly, where a number of athletes unfortunately were not safeguarded in previous years, previous generations, as I mentioned. So as a result of this, safeguarding has become embedded in our culture through education, through the sports, you name it. We are proactively seeking to protect children. So when I was lecturing, for instance, you learn so much about how to conduct yourself in the classrooms, and that's from secondary school right up to university level. In sports as well, the way that you conduct yourself with athletes. So it's all been brought on a lot by osmosis, but also as a board director, it was imperative that we understood the safeguarding so that we could empower our officials, our coaches to be good safeguarders also. We are the ones who set the policy. So effectively, we have to empower these people to be able to safeguard the children.
And to bring it home, I know that a lot of the times, particularly if we're at athletics meets and maybe on the field with athletes, we see so many athletes come out and they're heavily bandaged, or you can see that there's some type of existing injury, yet they're out performing, and you can see that they're not necessarily performing at their best. So are you saying that these things might be considered under the banner of safeguarding as abuse of the athlete if the coaches and people in positions of authority are not necessarily guiding them in the right way when it comes to things like even taking care of injuries and so on?
So you'll find that would fall somewhere in between abuse or the protection of their well-being. And I think, Simone Biles really showed us the power of an athlete having a voice when she made the decision to say, for the sake of my mental and physical health, I'm not going to compete in this particular competition. She was advocating for herself, she was protecting herself, and she was empowered to be able to do so. So what should happen through this culture shift of safeguarding is that as the athlete's voice now raises in priority and weight around the conversations, the athletes and the coaches and the administrators should be able to make a good decision about whether or not an athlete should pursue or whether or not they should, recover if there's an injury.
All right, so today we're going to have a seminar that's open to all coaches, physical education teachers, and administrators associated with various sporting associations.
Yes.
And this is going to be conducted
by myself, yes.
By you. What can we look forward to most in coming into this space with you kind of sharing all of the knowledge that you've gained?
I think the thing that I would like people to take from this is exercises in challenging their own perception of safeguarding. And I think you touched on this morning. Many of us have an understanding of discipline hardwired in us from the way that we were raised. And if the workshops go in the way that I would like them to, people should be leaving the workshop challenging their beliefs on what is a safe environment and what is not, and how complicit they may or may not have been in that environment. Because oftentimes when your behaviors are hardwired, it's difficult for you to identify them as potentially harmful. So we're looking for a lot of challenge to behaviors because obviously behaviors form a part of this culture. But we're also looking for people to feel empowered to start shaking up the way things are done.
And a lot of ways, in a number of ways, the way that we look at coaches is that way. Somebody with a big stick on the side meant to kind of whip you into shape, literally, sometimes figuratively, sometimes literally. But very interesting. And under the heading of the Barbados Wrestling Association and the British Wrestling Association, but of course embracing all manner of sport,
yes,
which is very, very important. So reach out to the BOA. I know that they're always willing and very, very able to field your questions and guide you in the right direction. But we most certainly look forward to all the benefits to come from this workshop that is coming up with Dr. Shahira Jordan, of course, of Barbadian descent. So good to have you back home and sharing with us.
Thank you so much for having me this morning.
Absolutely. Time for another break. It's 7:16. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. It's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
So good in a party yet. You know why?
My friend, you don't plan to get her? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it. Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.va.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
All right, 19 minutes after 7 o'clock. Good to have you with us on Morning Barbados on this Thursday. That's as much for me as it is for you, because we know how it goes with these short weeks. I never get the days right. And I know that happens to some of you as well. So everything we're doing today is seemingly kind of all tying into one. And that's how we know that conversation is in the right direction. There's a lot happening in our climate here in our country as they continue to talk about how we take care of our children through legislation and otherwise. That's happening in Parliament, that's happening in the Senate, that's happening across the island, and it most certainly is important for us to lead that conversation in the media as well. And as parents, we have a significant role to play in changing communities by taking care of our children and our families. So it's good to have Fabian Sargent of Men Empowerment Network Support and Imran Richards with us. He's a facilitator. And we're talking about safe zone parenting and empowerment workshop series. Good morning, gentlemen. Good to have both of you with us.
Good morning, Tisha. Good morning. To be here.
And of course, we've had both of you here as contributors, friends of, family of the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation through the years. Imran, you used to host very, what the young people say, active
Big Hill.
show, Big Hill, on the weekends, which really targeted young people. And you guys dealt with, back then with Roger Husbands, now Minister Roger Husbands, dealt with some topics that I used to say, wow.
Yes.
You know, but that was very important to be able to share. Today we want to look at this Safe Zone Parenting Workshop Series. What's it all about, apart from what the name says? Because sometimes we don't see what comes beneath the surface. We get caught up in just the name. But what is Safe Zone Parenting?
So I'll take that. Safe Zone Parenting Empowerment Workshop, supported by the National Peace Program. A big thank you to them. It is a series of workshops for particularly parents of boys enrolled in the Safe Zone program. And Safe Zone is a program for boys between the age of 12 and 18 years old. Our real focus is on their social and emotional development. We try to create that safe space for them. And in terms of doing that, we have to also work with their parents. And while we thrive to work with the parents, this is where the sessions evolved. If we are going to empower our young men and our young people, the parents have to be involved, because they're the ones that create the environment for their children. Our very first workshop was connecting with the me in my child. You know, parents don't usually see them in their children. Tisha smiling. So that one is connecting with the me and my child. The second one was parenting Gen Z in a post-COVID era. And our third workshop, which is going to be this Saturday at the Derek Smith School, we are focusing on recovering when things go wrong. Interacting with parents. A lot of these parents feel so down, you know. A lot of them feel as if, man, I try my best, but I ain't getting it right. You know, my children are not, or my child is not responding the way I would like him or her to respond. And, you know, right now we have a lot going on nationally with the National Parenting Program. A lot of parenting information is out there. But then you think as if the parents feel as if they're getting all this information, but they're not succeeding.
I can tell you from a personal perspective, a lot of it feels like just a talk shop. And you know, I'm so intrigued by this topic. Imran, you're going to be facilitator.
Yeah.
Recovering when things go wrong, that's so important. Because a lot of the times, like you said, Fabian, as parents, as aunties, as neighbors of these young children whom we love, you know, things go wrong. And it feels like, oh my goodness, I have failed this child. But how do you move past that?
Yeah, really good question. I think, first of all, it's important for a lot of parents to understand that they may not be able to go back and redo or have a retake at various decisions. but that they can recover. And I think recovering has a lot to do with the way that you think about next steps related to your kids. One of the things that a mentor shared with me a while back, and I found really, really interesting, and we'll delve into in the workshop, is the fact that we bond in weakness, not in strength. And oftentimes, people don't recognize the power in sharing a moment with your child where you acknowledge to them, I didn't get it right. You know, maybe you take them out to dinner, you have a conversation, you set an environment where you can say to them, look, I was wrong and I apologize for this. So it's almost taking a reset.
You need to pause though. You're telling Bajan parents to say to their children, I am sorry, I was wrong, I didn't get it right.
Yeah.
And you forgot the other part, please forgive me?
Please forgive me. And I think it can be such a powerful thing, because now you as a parent are being vulnerable in front of your child. You are helping them to understand that in this moment, they are the priority. They are the center of attention. They are the focal point. And it's not about you. It is about them in this moment. And that provides a significant opportunity for both individuals to be able to participate in a moment perhaps of reconciliation, a moment of empathy, where, because one of the things that parents don't share is the struggles and the challenges that they had growing up with their children. And I think sometimes when you help them to understand, listen, one of the reasons why X, Y, and Z took place was because I experienced X, Y, and Z growing up. And even though I tried my best to shield you from this as a parent, I didn't always get it right.
Sometimes even that can be a challenge, because parents are, one, living vicariously through the children, or kind of making decisions for their children based on what they experienced, and not necessarily giving them an opportunity to live life. Who are the people we're targeting with this particular workshop, Fabian? I know we talk about parents, we can't be all things to all people, but can we break it down, the types of parents that we would want to see come out and participate in this particular session?
So we're really targeting parents of adolescents. So these are parents of children who have children between the age of, let's say, 10 and let's say 19 years old. Why adolescence? Is that is the phase where these children, where you're now transitioning between a child and an adult, and I find that most of these relationships break down. There's a lot of communication issues, and a lot of these young people feel lost in the world, and they look elsewhere. They look to their friends. They look towards things that
media.
Social media, things that are not
seemingly all the negativity, man.
Yep. So what we try to do is that we're trying to get parents to really maintain control. And in maintaining control, they have to do a lot of introspection and really focus on themselves, find out their flaws, find out their weaknesses. And what we do is give them tools. We're not telling you how to be a parent. We're giving you tools to add to your toolbox to improve your parenting skills and how to connect with your child or your children.
Why do you think this topic has come up specifically under the initiatives of the National Peace Program? And I'm really intrigued to hear your answer on this as a facilitator for this, and as someone, Imran, who's worked with young people for many, many years.
Yeah, I think number one of the things that we address a lot is the fruit, which relates to the adolescent behavior, the drugs, the violence, the gang activity, etc. But what we don't address is the root, and a lot of things find expression as a result of the family of origin, the environment that young people grew up in. And we find that parenting continues to be one of those things that is extremely important. I mean, we've been hearing it all morning. You know, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world, essentially, is what people would always say. And so there is a lot of pressure that is placed on parents. But at the same time, there's a lot of responsibility that they have to carry as well. And I think when we examine households today, there's a lot of brokenness. There still continues to be the issue of fatherlessness, where some fathers, men, are missing completely from the home. And we know from research that men help contribute significantly to identity Emotional safety and identity, as well as discipline. These are three major areas that men contribute to. And so with men missing from the home, then it leaves a significant deficit in some cases. There are a lot of single parents that do phenomenally well, but we do know that it would be ideal if both parents are in the household and playing an active role in the life of a child. And so I don't think we can underestimate the importance of family and the role that family plays in shaping the life of a young person. So with that said, I think this is one of the reasons why the National Peace Program would design such projects, hopefully as a preventative measure to empower parents with the tools and the skills and the knowledge necessary to be able to do better, or at least enhance what they're already doing. And I think my message for people this Saturday will be, one, celebrate how far you've come. You know, sometimes I think as parents think about their own interaction with their kids, and maybe they feel as though they're failing, or they feel as though they are a failure, they identify themselves with the experience, then they continue to do more of the same. They find themselves entrapped in a vicious cycle. But what I want to challenge individuals to do is to pause. You've done what you could do with the skills, the knowledge, and the information that you had at this time. Now it may be time to take a reset, and let's think about what can we do better going forward. Now is not the time to give up. Now is not the time to sit on your laurels. Now is not the time to abandon hope, to abandon strategy, to abandon a vision of something different. And so I think I want to encourage parents to dream again, to try again, to continue to pursue that relationship with their children, and to do whatever it takes to equip themselves to be able to be the best that they can be for their child or ward.
Imran came to preach this morning.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, as a social worker, Fabian, I know that you experience this level of engagement every single day, and now you've started an organization that's meant to target men and boys and their specific needs. How different is it as we approach this topic where we talk about parenting, one gender as opposed to the other? Because we seemingly are seeing so much going on with the young males in our community, and it truly is scary, if only.
For us, you know, a lot of the work that we do really is preparing these young men for fatherhood, preparing these young men for family, preparing them for the world. And that is why it is important for us to reach their parents, who essentially would set that example. We try to reach out to the fathers, we try to reach out to families, you know, we try to get them coming out, because young people are going to do what they see. They are going to reflect, and they're going to observe, and then they're going to practice it, you know. So we try to get parents to a point where they can pay attention to their behaviors and how they connect with these children. So it is extremely important in this day and age with technology. A lot of parents feel as if they're failing, you know, and when parents come to me, they don't know what to do. So it is extremely important, these workshops. And I'm encouraging parents to come out. I mean, you've heard Imran, and these workshops are geared towards empowering. This particular workshop, we really want to pour some fuel back into the tanks and motivate parents to continue going on and not to give up, especially during that adolescent phase where you feel as if, you know, my children just going all over the place and they have no control. We want to motivate you to continue being that parent that you need to be to that child.
For sure. I participated in a workshop put on by UNICEF and the Eastern Caribbean Justice League and a host of other Caribbean organizations some years ago in Antigua. And if it's one thing that I took away from that workshop, it was the experts saying, if your child gets into trouble and you can't represent them, don't go. Find somebody who can. Because we see a lot in the newspapers, the parent goes to court and says, I can't do anything else. You know, I'm at the end of my tether. I can't help him lock she up, send she up, take her away. And what this workshop says to me is that you, again, in pouring into parents, you're saying to them, you know, there's hope moving forward. But looking at where we sit culturally, Imran, is it truly hope? because we're a culture, I don't know if it's just us in Barbados or if it is around the globe, where we hold on to the negative things that people do. So forever, a young man might get into trouble. A young girl might have run away from home for whatever reason, and that becomes who she is to members of the society. And people never really give them a chance. How do we work on getting parents in the frame of mind that they feel like, I still have to show up for my children because there's light at the end of the tunnel? You know?
I agree. I think, first of all, there are several organizations out there that are doing incredible work and are continuing to show to the public that change is possible. There's so many testimonies. Just recently I heard a young man talk about just the role that his parents played in his life after having challenges before, making bad decisions, ending up in prison, and now he's out recording music, doing phenomenal things, right? So I think, one, I want to encourage parents to look at examples where this has happened before. And if it has happened before, then the reality is it can happen again, and it can happen for you. Oftentimes we believe things can happen for other people, but we don't believe those things, those good things, can happen for us. The truth is that you can prepare or you can repair, right? And so there are a lot of parents that maybe you didn't do such a good job in the first instance, and we have to acknowledge that. You know, maybe you didn't prepare well for parenthood, you made mistakes, etc. But now there may be an opportunity, as I said earlier, to reset, but then to retool, and eventually to be able to repair that relationship and help your child to progress and to move along. One of the things my grandmother did, against the advice of so many of my family members, was stand by her son, who was in and out of prison for 30 years. She never gave up hope that he could change. For 30 years, she would walk to the prison. She would bring groceries when it was Glenderry, when he was at Dodds, etc., because he was in both. 30 years in and out of prison. Everybody said, why don't you give up on him? Today, he goes back to the prison, and he shares. He's married, happily married. He owns a house here in Barbados, and he owns one in London. So change is possible. And as parents, if there's anybody that must hold on to hope, it has to be us. I mean, I'm not a parent yet, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're holding no hope on that one. How can we become a part of this workshop, Fabian?
Okay, so the workshop is on this Saturday, the 25th of May, at Derek Smith School. Derek Smith in Jackmans. You know, everybody get mixed up with the schools, but it's Derek Smith in Jackmans. So because we start at 2 o'clock and we will run right down till about 4 o'clock. Refreshments are served. It is for both men and women. So not because we're a male organization, it's for everybody. It is free, and I'm encouraging all parents to come out and hear Imran. You've heard him this morning. Imran is a phenomenal facilitator, and he has a wealth of knowledge that he's going to bring to this workshop. So Saturday, 2 o'clock, Derek Smith School in Jackmans.
What shape will it take, Imran? Are you going to field questions at the end? Are you going to get some feedback, share with parents?
Yeah, definitely. We are going to have a lot of group activity, conversations. It's not just going to be me sharing. I want to help people to be able to close the gap between what they know and what they do. Too many of us are informed but not transformed. And the difference between information and transformation is application. And so you can look forward to being in a space that is fun-filled, a space that is inspiring, and a space where you get the dialogue with other parents in an environment that is conducive to growth and positivity.
Recovering when things go wrong. A free event coming up this Saturday, May 25th. This Saturday, May 25th. I don't even know where September came from. Derek Smith School and Vocational Center, Jackman, St. Michael. You know, Bajan directions, that's when you pass Lears.
Yes.
Out there, that school, a beautiful school out there. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, runs 2 to 4. They say 4 o'clock. This is going to go way past 4. But make sure you get out there and be a part of it. Look forward to seeing you there and hearing more about, you know, where your challenges are, where you are succeeding, where you're winning, and making sure that we can make our children get back to winning as well. Thank you, guys.
Yes. Thank you for having us.
All right, time for another break here on Morning Barbados. It's 22 minutes to go on today's show, but there's much more coming up, so don't you leave me.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. And together we will travel the world.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb. From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
20 minutes now to go before 8 o'clock on this Thursday. We continue to engage in discussions that, will lift you up. We want to make sure that you're on top of things and you know what's happening all across the society. So telling us all about a financial literacy workshop that's coming up are two very important ladies. Rianne Flats is Donor Relations Coordinator and Samsha Payne is Community Engagement and Programming Assistant with the I Am a Girl NGO initiative, the entire program. So good morning to you, ladies.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us.
Thank you.
It's a good balance. The two fellas are out, the two ladies are in.
I agree.
From the men's organization to I Am a Girl.
Yes.
So definitely striking that balance. So it's called Money Smart Girls, Building Wealth, Shaping Futures. Let's talk a little bit about this particular workshop and why you think it's timely to have it.
It's timely, definitely timely. So yes, it's called Money Smart Girls, and of course in the month of, Child Month being that is Child Month, we want to ensure that we play our part in empowering girls, right? So this particular workshop is geared towards presenting financial concepts to girls in terms of budgeting, savings, investing, insurance, for example, that could kind of essentially propel them forward or at least equip them with this information. That's girls between the ages of 15 to 18.
All right. How will this be delivered? When and where?
It will be happening tomorrow at Frank Cullimore Hall in the Courtney Blackman Grand Salle. Yes, please. We'll have approximately 50 participants, and we'll be inviting special guests and mentors to have a sit down, and we'll go through some certain sessions with them so that they can get the tips they need, everything they need to know based on the financial concepts. And then we'll have like a few challenges for them as well, a few giveaways and potential scholarship winners.
Yes. All right, that's excellent. Are you still open to registration?
Yes.
Or absolutely?
Yes, I mean, we still have about 24 hours before the day, so why not, we have
so
a few
let's talk
spots.
about the registration process.
Yes, please, for the registration process. We send emails to weare@iamagirl.ngo. Since it's a school day, of course, while you can register individually, you still have to make sure you inform the school as you'll be missing the school day. Yes, please.
To come on through, and you're targeting what age group for this?
We are targeting girls ages 15 to 18, those who are transitioning into adulthood, who we believe, they are ripe for this kind of information or may not be speaking about this information. So why not have girls within a room and a space where partners can share based on their respective strengths. Yeah. So
this morning, one word that's been cropping up is culture, and I think one thing that we've not been at the forefront of is teaching our children generally, and girls specifically, about not only managing their money, because when we talk about financial literacy, it encompasses so many different aspects of life generally. So it's great to see that we're having teens who are a little older, 15 to 19, that age group, being able to benefit from a program like this. Based on what you guys do, what are you seeing with girls in community that has dictated that you felt that you needed to target this particular group with this workshop?
Well, particularly girls within this age group, we know they're transitioning into adulthood, and there are some topics we tend to avoid, or they never had that access to information on. And honestly, we want to be able to empower girls and inspire girls and provide them with all these tools that, you know, they can make financially wise decisions. Yeah. So that's the reason essentially why it is we would have targeted this group, because we don't want that once it is you transition into adulthood fully, you're still unaware. Too many adults, you know, 30 plus, 20 plus, we are completely unaware of, you know, financial concepts and the importance of it, or responsibility within that framework. Yeah? So it's important that we target this group so that they are not us in 20 years or us in 10 years.
And I know you're doing it in collaboration with partners, Scotiabank.
Yes.
And that too is very important to see that our financial institutions are kind of coming to the place where they recognize, you know, we need to share from this younger age. As the person with responsibility for community engagement, how do you feel that we're making out in terms of how younger people relate financial issues and matters of finance and investment and the like?
Actually, I can share a little personal story. Because a few years ago, I was in that age group. I remember once, when I had to submit online banking information for a job, and it included having to put my account number. Now, I was freshly new to having a bank account of my own. So I put in a number, and it wouldn't work. So I did it again, and it wouldn't work. And I told my friends, and they were like, oh, let me see what you put. The number I had placed was my credit card number. Thankfully, I didn't actually go in and put my security pin or whatever. And they had a good laugh for like a few minutes before they had to tell me, well, actually, you know. And then they were speaking about how you could find the number through online banking. It was not there. I looked. And then they were saying, you could find it in the letter the bank sent you. It was not there. I looked. So I had to end up calling the bank, trying to figure out, hey, what's my account number? And honestly, it was a kind of embarrassing situation, but it was one that I know I learned a lesson from, definitely. And through that, I can see why we have the need for financial literacy.
Oh, yeah.
And why it's something that should be spoken about more, especially with our teens who are going into college, going into adulthood, going into whatever, and money is one thing that's always going to be there, always going to stick with us. One thing we definitely need to make sure we understand everything about before anything else happens. And it's like, oh no, well, kind of too late for this now.
Yeah, you raised so many really, really important matters in that one story that you shared, and I had a really good laugh at you too. But I know there are other people who struggle with that as well. You know, I would say to people, okay, share your banking information so I can do an online transaction, and no clue, you know. So it truly is important to really start where you are kind of molding minds into the way they should approach finances and financials and so on. So very, very important. Let's delve a little deeper into maybe some of the other things that will be covered. I know we're talking under the banner of financial literacy, but what are some of the other areas that you're going to tackle under that banner for these young girls for this tomorrow?
Okay, so yes, under the banner of financial literacy, there are certain topic areas that we want to cover. We have different organizations, companies going to represent and speak to the girls specifically about those topic areas. One of the segments, which is like the main segments that we're going to have in terms of partners coming on board to support this particular segment, is a speed dating session. So ideally what we have planned is that girls will go to each table. learn some concepts related to, for example, budgeting. Of course, then they get a chance to ask questions, get the answers quickly, and then they have to go to these different tables. Right. The aim of that session is to kind of lay the foundation to some of the activities we have planned later on. So later on in the afternoon, we are going to give girls the opportunity to then, based on the knowledge you've received before, how are you going to then, if you're given a particular budget, how are you going to then identify which areas you're going to prioritize? Are you going to save some? Are you going to invest some? Do you think you would have money afterwards to be able to do any of that? And girls are then invited to present on these different scenarios that they're going to receive. And from those observations, of course, we'll eventually provide like scholarships, because we have some scholarships to distribute tomorrow. So we're inviting girls to come and be part of this. Of course, there's a lot to gain from being part of it, apart from knowledge, right? Get some scholarships and giveaways. So yeah,
I know some 15-year-old girls.
Send them.
Hello, all the 15-year-old girls that I know. I'll be coming after you today, and there are only 50 spots.
Yes, only 50 spots.
So we want to make sure that we get in, and it's coming up tomorrow. This title is more than fitting.
Yes.
Because together it works, but separately it really says what it's meant to do. Money Smart Girls, building wealth.
Yep.
When we talk about building wealth, it means that we have to have them in the frame of mind, that they understand what not only finances are all about, but investing and taking good care of their money and planning for the future, which builds it into the next part of it, shaping future. So it can really guide, dictate what your life can be like going forward, not only for an individual, but for an entire family and by extension our community. So I want to congratulate you on the work that you're doing at the I Am a Girl Foundation. And I think this particular workshop is testimony of how connected you are with the community by way of what we have to do to keep empowering our young women.
Of course, agreed.
Yeah?
Agreed.
So get on out tomorrow and be a part of it. If you have any 15-year-old girls in your life, hello. Let them know that all they have to do is get online, share the socials.
So you can visit our Instagram, which is I am a girl at I am a girl NGO, or you can go on our website www.iamagirl.ngo. But if you want to register for this particular workshop, you can email us at weare, that's WEARE, at iamagirl.ngo.
We are at iamagirl.ngo. Yeah?
Yes, please.
We are at I Am a Girl NGO. Make sure you got it. I know a lot of older people had to get out their pens. But it all works. Thank you so much, Rianne and Samsha, for coming in and sharing with us on this all-important workshop that's coming up tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
All right, good to have you. I'm the only person who didn't get the memo pink shirts and all. And
yes.
But, you know, make sure you talk to the young people in your life. And this is a great opportunity. All right, with just about 8 minutes to go when we come back, we'll be dancing. Don't you move.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
You know why?
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it. Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. Indeed, I have to say a special good morning to a very special lady. She is one of the biggest Morning Barbados fans, and I met her through Cassandra and Shane, who were hosts of Morning Barbados before. She's a part of a very active chat group. They love, love, love Morning Barbados. They're still in the chat. I'm in there too, so good morning to everybody. But we want to say a hearty happy birthday going out to Patricia Ben, who is celebrating her birthday today. Beautiful lady, inside and out. She always makes sure that she gets in there and shares what's happening with the people in the group. Thank you so much for loving CBC, for loving the program, and staying with us all this time. I hope you have the most wonderful birthday today. And believe it or not, look back at that picture. This lady is celebrating her 77th birthday today. Can you believe it? 77. You most certainly do not look it. And you deserve to have a wonderful day today. Pat, we love you. Thank you so much. All right, now a few weeks ago, maybe 2 months or so, we had little AJ Carter, Avery Carter. AJ is his stage name. And he won the Blackman and Gollop Calypso competition. He is a real little powerhouse. His song Born This Way was written by his mom, and he took everybody in attendance by storm. Now he has a music video. Let's check it out.
My name is AJ, Avery Justice, and I was born this way.
That was super. I know you thoroughly enjoyed that because I did. Avery has the moves, man, and the voice to boot. Unfortunately, you won't be seeing him in Junior Monarch this year. He's too young. He's only 6 years old, but doing a fantastic job. So congratulations to Avery. Speaking of young people, DJ Ross is celebrating 16 years of being a part of the 98.1 FM family tomorrow. So he's taking his shift outside of the CBC. And so you can listen out for a whole lot going on out in the car park with DJ Ross. Make sure you check in for that. Today at Empire Sports Club, there's something very interesting happening as well. Q in the community as they continue to celebrate a big milestone. That's right, the Empire Club. They are celebrating with Q in the community. So head on over and check that out from around 2 o'clock this afternoon. It's going to be live online, but come on out. The bus service is available, and I'm sure you're going to have a good time with the entire Empire crew. The Barclays Singers, they're having a concert. We'll tell you more about that tomorrow. Plus, we get to meet and have a chat with 2 winners of the Global Supply Chain Forum Innovation Challenge. That's tomorrow. Rasili and friends are going to be in as well. It's the Friday edition. And you know we are socoholics to the core. So as we gear up for Crop Over, we're getting ready for the new shows that we have coming on TV8, as well as we continue feeling the festival. Hey, have a great day today, and make sure you come on back and share with us for Morning Barbados tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.